Have you ever tried to hit a guy that uses a cutie style of boxing? That's the question that I'm gonna ask you right now. Because this weekend, Teo Lopez versus my man George Kambosos, the ferocious Kambosos, are about to hit it. But we're gonna get into something that most people are kind of maybe overlooking in this fight, which is how difficult it is to actually hit a cutie style boxer. But what makes this so unique is that Teo Lopez is not just a cutie, but he utilizes the Philly shell style. And on top of that, he has big power, which unlike the old, usually cutie styles are perfect punches, but not dangerous punches. And that's what we're about to cover today on It's Time to Box. Back to the topic at hand. The cutie style boxer and the Philly shell style all merged into one usually means this. It's a guy that does not have unique power. So he benefits from the mistakes that his opponent makes inside of the ring. So he capitalizes on it by countering them and walking them into punches, because cutie style fighters frustrate their opponent. Let's go back to the days of Chris Bird and Willie Pep. Very, very defensive fighters, but at the same time, they understood exactly how to draw you in and make you make the first mistake. That's a cutie style boxer. They're never on the line. They constantly utilize your aggression against you, a la Bernard Hopkins, the executioner. One thing that none of them have in common with Teo Lopez is Teo Lopez has one punch big power. Those are usually pressure fighters, brawlers, heavy hitters like Rocky Marciano. You don't see that often. When you look at the likes of a Terrence Crawford, who's a boxer puncher, meaning he's bringing the fire, he's bringing the fight, and he's bringing the smoke. He's not a one-punch knockout artist, but one thing he is a cutie whenever he selects to be. Teo Lopez, in this Philly shell that he uses, he's actually gone and worked with Floyd Mayweather Sr. to polish this up. This is why you know about his dad. His dad is the real deal. His dad understands fighting. His dad understands those other little things that count when it comes to going heads up with elite level fighters, taking your fighter into training camps with killers in the ring. And that's what you're gonna note when you see Teo Lopez. George Kambosos is a pressure fighter. He comes forward. And that falls exactly into the game plan of cuties. They take and use your effective aggression against you and makes it less effective by countering you. But Teo Lopez has big power. And if you throw abundance of punches at a guy like that inside of that shell, he's going to deflect, ricochet, roll, and come back with something big. Lomachenko knew this in the fight. It took Lomachenko nearly 7 rounds to develop up the courage to let his hands go because of the big power. The big power. How do you really offset this? So what I'm going to do right now is show you a couple of scenes from some of the Philly shell teachings that we do, because it'll give you an idea of how groomed the defense is. So take a look at this. We're going to turn the sound down low and just look at more or less the defensive prowess that it allots you. Let's see what it looks like.
I didn't know that there was that many elements to the Philly shell. Because when people see the Philly shell, only thing they see is rolling the shoulder. It's just rolling the shoulder. But learning all those different elements in the Philly shell, I was very surprised that it was more than what I thought it was. Because at first I was just like them other guys. I just thought it was just a rolling shoulder. You catch you, catch you, catch you, catch you. But learning, like I said before, learning different mechanics. If you actually watch our videos, a lot of people don't see how I be catching uppercuts. I didn't even know how to catch uppercuts until I started doing the Philly shell and I started learning the different mechanics in the Philly shell. So once I learned how to do the mechanics in the Philly shell, which we do that every day, it's just not maybe 3 hours in the gym. No, it's every day, like more than 6 hours of training. And once you get that underneath your belt and your confidence goes up, the Philly shell is a very, very, very good art to learn. My name is Robert Reed, but in the boxing gym, I go by Zion, AKA Mr. Philly Shell.
Now, when you equate that kind of skill set, and we call them bumpers, elbows, the 5 layers of defense, shoulders, hands, knowing how to use your mind, bend those knees and bend at the hips. That's 5 layers of defense, knowing how to utilize your entire body as a defensive mechanism to ricochet shots, to set the trap, to bring them into the area in the zone that you want to hit them in and maximize the impact of your power. That's what the Philly shell style can do. And there's so many layers to that. Hence is why when we do the teaching and we broke it down in our digital download, I couldn't do it all in one sitting. So there's a lot to unpack inside of that learning and that lesson, and it takes you into places that you know that you won't learn this on a typical scale. The survival tactics of breathing and learning how to utilize the ropes and inside the corner. And Teofimo Lopez understands distance and range, and that is one of the other benefits that it gives you. So George Kambosos definitely has the fiber, the DNA, the mindset, the mentality. And we're going to do a specific video on him so you won't think that this is a one-sided thing, because we've actually had him on the show. And listen to this young man, and you tell me if you think he's not the real deal. But let's see what it looks like. When you get a cutie in the ring, you got to throw chum in the water. A fishing term meaning throw the guts in the water, and like a shark, you attack. Never allowing the space, because what happens if you allow a cutie any space to operate, a la James Toney, a la Floyd Mayweather. If you ever allow any space, what's going to happen is his attack. But you don't, because when people are experts and they're taught right and they've been groomed from a young age, whenever you see it at the elitist of levels, it's different. Fighting a cutie at the elitist of levels is different. So you have to throw chum on them.
And when you go back to that fight as well, that fight and the cutie style, that's exactly what I had to deal with in Lee Selby in my last fight. Mm-hmm. He has that cutie style. He has that style where he moves, and he has to be comfortable to be able to throw off his jab. He has to be comfortable to land his shots. And that was the whole game plan from round one. Never make him comfortable. Never give him the distance. That's why I was always in and out. Touch him to the body, touch him to the head. Rip him to the body, rip him to the head. I mean, give him different looks. And when you give a fighter different looks, it means they got to think, if not twice, 3 times as hard, if not more, to adapt to the style that's come in front of them. And then when you put that fighter like myself, who's fast, explosive, from different angles, then it's a very hard style to fight against. And obviously there's a lot of talk between myself fighting Teofimo Lopez for all the belts in Australia. And I can tell you that everything is going real smooth at the moment. Negotiations are great. And a lot of people are going to doubt me in that fight. when you come up against my style, obviously Lopez is a very good fighter himself. He's a unified champ. Beat the man to become the man. But my style, my distance, my movement, my speed, I believe I give him a lot of trouble, and I believe I beat him.
Now, does that sound like a guy who's not sure of himself or is having second thoughts about knowing what it takes to be at this level? Absolutely not. He's the real absolute deal. True gladiator. But as I posted this week, speaking to, the only thing that you have to pay attention to is that styles make fights. Not personalities, not training camps. The style of each fighter makes the fight. Teofimo Lopez showed a steady jab, which isn't something that most cuties know or use. Most Philly shell masters don't use it. Most Philly shell masters don't have big power. Each one of the style fighters that I named, James Toney, inside fighter, stays in one spot, makes you miss, makes you pay. But he understands how to do more of the role with his Philly shell. But Noah Hopkins utilizes the ring. He's a ring general with his Philly shell. When he gets in the pocket, he knows how to utilize the rubberneck tactics, and he's a pure cutie inside of that boxing ring and a ring general. And then you have Floyd Mayweather, who knows how to sit in the pocket, but use the ring and is a sharpshooter, but not with big power. Teofimo Lopez utilized the jab way more than most experienced fighters that use the Philly shell and the cutie style. But he also possesses that equalizer, big power. And you tell me, if you're in the other corner, how do you offset someone that fights in a style like that, that strips you of everything you do well, and at the same time has the KO dynamite? That's the question that will be answered on Saturday night. That's all I got for right now. I hope that gave you better insight as to what this fight will entail. Until next time, continue blessings, and be sure to subscribe if you like learning boxing, seeing boxing skill training, and being able to involve yourself in the science of how boxers truly operate when it comes to their training methods. That's all I got. Be blessed at Godspeed. Subscribe, and special shouts out to my brothers, TSOB, the School of Boxing, where you can get your master's degree in the science of boxing. So long, and enjoy the fight.